Now, what we're going to talk about today, right now, is visioneering. And the thing about visioneering is that it's a tool you can use no matter where you are in your learning and application of what we're teaching. And that's really important because, Bob said it's 11 years ago today when I was in that seminar, and I came up with this huge C goal. To me, it felt like a Z goal. I mean, it was so huge. And when I was in Delray Beach, Florida, and he's looking at me in that seminar room, and he's saying, "We do have a deal, don't we?" And I just nodded my head yes, and I swear my body was shaking for 2 years. And I needed something that would help me get from where I was to where I was going. You can't force the learning process. You can't force the unfoldment of your conscious awareness. And visioneering is a tool that you can use even before you get your conscious awareness really elevated. So I want you to just pretend like it's just you and me in the room, and we're going to go over this exercise, and I want you to really get it. And I want you to ask questions if you don't get it. And it starts out with the idea of, I love this visual, this little kitty cat, and you look in the mirror and the kitty cat sees a lion. Now the kitty cat can't see a lion. The kitty cat doesn't have intellectual faculties like we do, but we can see a lion. We can see whatever it is that we want. We can see a brave heart. We can see ourselves doing what we want to do. That's way beyond where we are. And we use our intellectual faculties. And the beautiful part of visioneering is you don't have to go into a quiet room. You don't have to get into a meditative state. You can do this anywhere. And you can do it quickly. You could do it in a crowded airport. You could do it in a meeting room. You could do it while you're driving. And in a split second, you can shift your vibration. So it's really powerful. So keep that visual in mind and think about what we're doing when we're visioneering. We're using the imagination. The imagination is the mental faculty out of which visions arise. And there's huge power in using our imagination. How many of you have read Power of Awareness? Neville? And Awakened Imagination? In this, he says, and this is so good, I love this book. He said, you must imagine yourself right into the state of your fulfilled desire. Imagine yourself right into the state. It's not just seeing it, you're in the state. And your desire has been fulfilled. He said the future must become the present in the imagination of the one who would wisely and consciously create circumstances. So the future becomes the present and you start creating circumstances. You literally start creating circumstances. And every great company was started by a visionary, started by someone who kicked their imagination into high gear. I love the example of Sarah Blakely and Spanx. How many know what Spanx are? I see a lot of guys' hands. Do you guys know what Spanx are? No? Oh, we got to explain it. Okay. Spanx. Well, actually, Sarah Blakely, first I'll tell you, Sarah Blakely, she has $1 billion, her company is worth over $1 billion. And she sold fax machines door to door. And she liked to wear white, tight pants. But they didn't look good with the panty line. So she said, I got to create something for this. So she created Spanx. And they're just this fabric. It's a tight but very comfortable fabric. And when you pull it out of the package, it's like this little. And you're like, how am I going to get that on? And you yank it on. And then you look in the mirror. It's like, oh, I'm looking good. I had someone come up to me yesterday. She goes, you don't need your Spanx anymore. I'm like, that's because I've been working on getting fit. But you know what? I still like to wear them because they're so comfortable. And she's come out with a line for men. So you guys should run out and get them. Get your Spanx. But I mean, what kind of imagination did that take? You know? I mean, you think of other companies. I love Starbucks and Howard Schultz. And, you know, I've heard so much. I've heard him speak. I've met him. I've read all his books. And he always talks about the vision and how he would go out and he would tell his story. Because, you know, when you have a vision for your life, like Earl Nightingale, he talks about this dream, this great dream, this surging, dynamic thing, invisible to all the world except the person who holds it. So you've got this dynamic dream. You've got your seagull. Well, you're going to need help. We're all going to need help to achieve something super great. And so you got to be able to get someone to see your vision. And Howard Schultz, he would spend almost all his time spreading the vision of what he was creating. So we use our imagination, and that is the first step in visioneering. So look at the graphic of the stick person and really lock this in. You've got your sensory factors. You have your intellectual mind, your emotional mind, the body. We know we can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. We've got the intellectual faculties, perception, will, imagination, memory, intuition, and reason. So what we're doing with visioneering when we do this exercise is we're shutting the outside world out. And just like gratitude, you can shift your vibration so quickly. You can be in a state where, you know, after I nodded my head yes, and it's like, how am I going to do this? You can be talking to someone, and they're telling you all the reasons, all the obstacles, all the things that are going to keep you from doing what you want. But if you can shut the world out, shut those sensory factors down, and then what do? You use your will and your imagination. You use the imagination to create the image of what you want, and you use the will to hold it on the screen of your mind to the exclusion of all else. You're living in that place. What did Neville say? You're living from that place. You're in the state of that place. And then you just impress it over and over and over upon the emotional mind. And that's what changes the vibration that you're in. That is what visioneering is. And it's extremely powerful. So I've studied this for 11 years now, and I've studied a piece of literature by Genevieve B. Rand, Your Invisible Power. Do you guys know that? Your Invisible Power. Have you been studying it? Yeah? And every time you study it, do you feel like you just get more and more? Doesn't it feel kind of like you're peeling an onion and it's like layer after layer after layer? It's really deep. So there's what, like 7 paragraphs, 7 key points that I just keep studying over and over and bring more and more life to them and apply them. And so we're going to go over that. And I want you to really kick your mind into high gear. And I want you to really think about how you can apply this right now to live the life you want to live, to be the person that you want to be, right here, right now. So she starts out by saying the exercise of the visualizing faculty keeps your mind in order. What's the visualizing faculty? Imagination. Why does it keep your mind in order? Exercise of the visualizing faculty keeps your mind in order. What did Bob say about order the other day? Order is heaven's first law. Now, what does that mean to you? Order is heaven's first law. If we've got order in our mind, if we have a clear picture and it's not being bombarded or pushed or diluted by other ideas, we get order in our mind. So the exercise of the visualizing faculty keeps your mind in order and attracts to you the things you need to make life more enjoyable and in an orderly way. So let's just imagine that you walk into your office and you got paper everywhere, you got big piles of stuff, and you know, it's like you don't even know where to begin. What kind of state does that put your mind in? Chaotic state. How does it feel when you're in a chaotic state? Chaotic. How many feel like you're in a chaotic state right now? Be honest. I mean, you've been here for 5 days. You've got to be in a chaotic state at least part of the time. Seriously. So you're in a chaotic state. You know what happens when you're in a chaotic state? It's like decisions become really difficult, don't they? They do. And you're kind of like, oh, I don't know if I should do this, if I should do that. It's like if you're in a chaotic state, your energy, all of a sudden you can just feel it flat, like you have no energy. That's a chaotic state. It's like you could have, your car could be super dirty. Like you could have just, didn't get a chance to wash the outside, the inside. You might even have garbage in there, even if you never normally do that. And you get in the car and you feel like it just clunks down the street. And then you say, okay, I'm done. I'm going to clean this out. I'm going to throw the garbage out. I'm going to clean it. And doesn't it feel like the car runs better? Seriously. I mean, it's amazing. Well, Bob talked about the office, or the example of that guy with the office, and he said to him, I'm not going to talk to you unless you clean this office. And the guy's like, well, why do you want me to clean? What does that have to do with anything, right? But he cleaned the office, and then sales went up, and he couldn't even understand the correlation. It's like clean office, that had nothing to do with the sales. But it did, didn't it? Like, do you remember times when your mind was just so clear, you were so focused, you knew exactly what you wanted to do? And didn't it feel like everything you needed just came to you? That's what she's saying here. The exercise of the visualizing faculty keeps your mind in order and attracts to you what you need to make your life more enjoyable, what I need to make my life more enjoyable, what you need to make your life more enjoyable. And no one can do it for you. I mean, you got to do it. What's one of the most important words in this paragraph? What do you think? Has to do with the point that no one can do it for you. What do you think? The exercise of the visualizing faculty keeps your mind in order. The exercise. Why is that important? The exercise, because unfortunately, what are we taught about the imagination? What are we taught about letting ideas in? How much do we let in from the outside? TV, conversations. How many people fall asleep with the TV on? Okay, what are you watching when you do that? Because it's going right into your subconscious mind. Right in. I'm thinking of trying to walk up the stairs backwards like Bob does. He doesn't wear heels, though. Okay. That wasn't very elegant. I'm getting there. But the point is the exercise of the visualizing faculty, because we are so programmed to let everything in from the outside. So we can be here all week and we can come up with all these great C-type goals, but then it's like the other ideas just come bombarding in when we least expect it. And you know what? They go immediately to the subconscious mind. Why? Because they're in harmony with the paradigm. And so this happens over and over and over. And this is the beautiful part of this, is that you can use this right here, right now, and you can say, okay, I'm blocking that out. Remember the visual, the stick person? Shut down the outside world. Tap into your will and imagination. Get that picture on the screen of your mind. And practice that over and over and over. Even when it feels like other visions are coming in, other ideas are coming in, sometimes it can feel like it's just boom, and you get a whole different vision that you don't like. Come back to it. Exercise. And it'll attract to you what you need to make your life more enjoyable and in an orderly way. Now look at it this way. If you train yourself in the practice of deliberately picturing your desire and carefully examine the picture, what's the most important word here? What? If. What's another important word? What? Train. Deliberate. A lot of good words in here. I would say the number one word is if. If you train yourself, because most people won't do this. Most people won't do the work to do this. But I'll tell you what, it's worth the effort, because it is so incredibly powerful. So you want to put the work in. You want to do this every morning, first thing. You want to do it every evening, last thing before you go to sleep. Train yourself. Focus with the imagination and the will. Focus that picture. Hold it on the screen of your mind and impress it on your subconscious mind, the treasury of your subconscious mind. Now, what is she saying here about carefully examine? So you deliberately picture, And then you carefully examine. Why do you want to do that? Deliberately picture. We want to know what we want, but why do we want to carefully examine it? Feel yourself into it. So what do you sometimes see when you carefully examine it? Details. Things you didn't see before, things you didn't think about before. And so you're what? The feelings. So you're deliberately picturing what you want, then you're looking at it and you're saying, is this really what I want? How does that feel? Try it on for size. Like I remember I was living down in Malibu, and I wanted to live on the ocean. I just thought that was a romantic idea, living on the ocean, and I could, hear the waves and look at the beautiful ocean and walk along the beach. And so I got myself a condo on the ocean. I couldn't work because the waves would boom, right? I mean, I was on the ocean, like the water's coming up underneath the building, and it was just boom, boom. And you had to clean the windows about 8 times a day because there's salt and there's grime on the windows. And this condo, I didn't really picture the condo in my mind. Well, the condo, I'm a little vertically challenged, just a little bit, and I could barely stand up. And it was like miniature furniture in this condo. And I'm like, okay, I got part of it. I was living on the ocean in Malibu, California. That was cool, but it wasn't what I wanted. So then I thought, okay, I got to improve on this. So then I moved up to this house in the canyon overlooking the ocean. And it was so high up. And I remember every time my dogs went outside, I was afraid they'd go off the cliff. And it was like hot up there. And you could see the ocean, but it was so far away. And in this home, God, I'll never forget the atrium when you walked in there. It was like when I should have known when I went to look at it, and they had cages of like boa constrictors and rattlesnakes and different snakes, and then all these plants, and it was like this. I thought that was kind of exotic and cool for about a week. And then I'm like, okay, now number 2, I better get it on number 3. So I started saying, what do I really want? See, deliberately picture, carefully examine. What do you really want? Because the more you do this, you start attracting so fast, and it's coming into your life. And it's coming because you're asking it to come. So is this really what you want? And so I thought, okay, I'm going to get real clear. So I got clear on what I wanted. Because you find that your thoughts and desires proceed in a more orderly procession than ever before. So what are you doing? You're training yourself to deliberately picture what you want, carefully examine the picture. Is this really what I want? You're getting emotionally involved with it, and then all of a sudden, your thoughts and desires are proceeding in an orderly procession. What does that mean? Where are the thoughts? Thoughts are in the conscious mind. Thoughts and desires. Where's the desires? What? Subconscious mind. And what visioneering does is it feeds the desire. And that's what's so important, because when you leave here, remember, an idea, it's like an infant. In fact, it's like an embryo. It's not even an infant. And you got to nurse it and entice it to remain alive. You got to nurse it and entice it so much that it becomes a giant, and it nurses and entices you and keeps you alive. But I'll tell you what, it takes a while to get it to the point where it's going to do that. And so you want your thoughts and desires to proceed in an orderly sequence so your results become predictable, right? And desire, Wallace Waddell says it so well, desire is the unexpressed possibility within, seeking expression without through your actions. And so in other words, this is when it starts to get pretty magical, because you're doing the work, you're training your mind, you're using your imagination, you're impressing it on your subconscious mind, and then the body starts to do what it needs to do to move you towards your goal. I nodded yes when everything in me was screaming, where's the agreement? I got to negotiate this deal. And I just nodded yes, because I knew that was the opportunity I was looking for. So your thoughts and desires proceed in a more orderly procession than ever before. Now, what about this? Having reached this state of ordered mentality, you are no longer in a state of mental hurry. What's mental hurry? I did it. Did you see that? What? Did you guys see me? I walked up backwards. I almost did. Okay, so having reached a state of ordered mentality, you're no longer in a state of constant mental hurry. So the visioneering, we're training, we're exercising our imagination, we're using our will, we're getting beautiful order in our mind, and we're no longer in a state of constant mental hurry. Hurry is fear and consequently destructive. Bob did an amazing lesson the other day on this. And we know times that we've done this. Like imagine, I love this story. Maybe Bob will tell it sometime. Where he was supposed to be at a seminar at 7 a.m. And he got a phone call at like 7:03 a.m. Are you coming up? You know? And he's like, oh, hadn't shaved or anything. He goes into the seminar, and he normally has time to like lay out. This was when he had notes everywhere. He told me he would have tables and piles of notes, and he'd lay it all out. And he had this thing that he used where you could bounce the ball back and forth. He'll tell the story, I bet. And so he walks down there, and the host of the meeting calls him straight up on stage. And he starts to put his notes out, and they fall everywhere, and whatever those things are called, the balls that hit, what are those called? You hit them back and forth. They drop, and they go rolling everywhere. And, you know, the state of, imagine how he felt. Constant mental hurry, you know? And he's just like, it's going downhill. And then he's like, okay. And he said he turned around and he put his back to the audience and he just walked and he just said, peace, peace, bringing it back. And when you say that, peace, peace, you're bringing it back. What are you bringing it back to? Bringing it back to a quiet place. Then you can hold that vision on the screen of your mind. But when you're in a state of hurry and you're rushing, it is destructive. Look at the visual of this. We are either in the negative state of ignorance, positive state of knowledge. So it's a choice. And when we're on the negative side, worry and doubt. We entertain worry and doubt. And that sets up a vibration of fear. It's not a comfortable feeling, and it puts your body in a state of anxiety. And if you don't turn that around and switch to the other side, you're going to have anxiety. You're going to be suppressing things. You're going to get in a state of depression. Ultimately, disintegration. But we have the choice. We can study. We can gain understanding. We can choose to get emotionally involved in ideas that are going to serve us, and that sets up a beautiful feeling of faith. And visioneering, when you're really emotionally involved with the idea of what you want, and you just lock that in, you're feeding that faith. And then there's well-being and expression. And you're just like, you're a creative being, and you make decisions quickly. And this is when things start to become easy. This is when you start to really let the joy and the beauty in life in, you know? And you're just, because it's not meant to be hard. It's not meant to be hard. We're all supposed to be living the life that we want. So it's a thought power. It's an unshaped thought power. It's flowing to and through you right now, right this second. And you are choosing how you shape that. And your paradigm is going to tell you, shape it this way. And you got to just say, no, I'm choosing a different way, choosing a different idea. Hurry is fear and consequently destructive. Now think of this. This is hugely powerful. The moment your belief matches with any state, you fuse with it. And this union results in the activation and projection of its plots, plans, conditions, and circumstances. That's how we started this. So the moment your belief matches any state, you fuse with it. There's power in that. It's like you believe it. And all of a sudden, it's like you fuse with it. What does that mean? It means you're living from that place. You're there. You're there. You don't have to say, I want to be there, and sit from where you are and say, okay, what do I need to do to get there? Because if your belief fuses with it, you're there. And then what can you do? You can turn around and you could say, how did I get there? Because you're looking back. You're already there. That's a huge difference. It's like that example when, Bob said, I would tell him I'd lost 2 kilograms or whatever, and he's like, well, why are you weighing yourself? Well, I want to see my results. He's like, well, why would you weigh yourself if you're already at the weight you want to be at? Well, I'm not at the weight I want. What? You know? What do you mean you're not at, you know? And I got that in so many other areas, but all of a sudden in that area, I realized the block. And it's like, okay, I get it. The moment your belief matches any state, you fuse with it. And then all of a sudden, the plots, the plans, the projections, everything you need. The people you need, the ideas you need, the resources you need. Do you see the power in that? Do you believe it? Do you see how it would change your results dramatically? It's huge. This union, so it's your belief matches with any state. You get your belief to match with it. The visioneering gets you there. Because when you hold the image on the screen of your mind, you're holding it with your will, you've created it with your imagination, you impress it on your subconscious mind, and you are living from that place. And it's that union, the union with the subconscious or emotional part of your being. So you take this idea that's in your intellectual mind that's just a want. You know, it's like I could write something on a piece of paper and say, I want to do this. But if I'm only doing this as an intellectual exercise, am I attracting it? Am I going to get the people, the ideas, the resources? No. Why? Yeah, it's like you just have it in your intellectual mind. And the paradigm's having its heyday in your emotional part of your being. And so we've got to literally get our belief to match with the state where we fuse with it. It's in the subconscious part of our being. And when we're in that place, that's when the plots and plans and projections and all the things that we need come to us. And do you start to see why it's so important to exercise our mind and to train our mind? Because otherwise, what's going on in there? It's just a bunch of different, often very opposing things, and you're often getting emotionally involved in the things that you should reject, and you're not getting emotionally involved with the things that you should accept. And so then you get your results and you say, hey, wait a minute, I'm doing everything you told me to do, but why is my bank account empty? You know, why didn't that merger come together? You know what I'm saying? And then you start to look on the outside, well, the leads were bad. You know, like if you're a salesperson, the leads were bad. I mean, the quality just went down. And, you know, you just haven't trained us well enough. You know, and this is what we start to do. And most people just do this and you have no clue what you're doing. But the moment your belief matches with any state, you fuse with it. And it's the union. The union results in the activation and projection of the plots, plans, conditions, and circumstances. You create your circumstances. And it's from this new state of conscious awareness. This new state of conscious awareness. Remember the graphic where you had a paradigm shift? And you have the levels of vibration? And thought is a frequency. Each level of vibration is a frequency. And you're thinking on this level, but your goal is up here. So what do? You make a committed decision, I am doing this, and I'm doing it now. And you flip up onto a higher frequency. This new state of conscious awareness becomes your home from which you view the world. So how different is the world when you're on that different level, when you're on that much higher level? Everything's different. So 11 years ago today, at 5 o'clock Pacific time, so 8 p.m. here tonight. It was 11 years ago. I was sitting in the seminar right about over there. And I could, you know, I can see it so clearly. You know, what I was wearing, what Bob was wearing, who was at my table. And Bob gets up there and he's just got my mind just going like crazy. And like, you know, what do you really want? What do you want? And, you know, I'm thinking, you're just like unconsciously, all these ideas are coming to me like, I'm a lawyer, so it has to be something tied to being a lawyer. You know, somehow I've got to tie what I want to being a lawyer. Well, I'd like the idea of turning my monthly or my annual income into my monthly income, so how can I do that as a lawyer? And I start running in my head, you know, and it's like, okay, well, if I put this many hours in, because lawyers, it's by the hour, you know. You got this Carpe Diem software, and, you know, Lori, if you're my client and we get on the phone, it's like click Carpe Diem, tick, 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 and that's how I earn my money, by the hour. So I'm thinking, well, gosh, there's only so many hours and days in the week. How am I going to do this? And he's like, it doesn't matter what you've done before. There's no need to follow precedent. It doesn't have to be a logical step. If you're a doctor, you don't have to do something as a doctor. If you're a lawyer, you don't have to do something as a lawyer. And I started thinking on this whole different level. And then I'm like, wow, I want to be in the inner circle of this company. This information is fascinating. I want to create a program with Bob Proctor. I want to bring it into these boardrooms and executive offices. Teach them this, because I could see them butting heads. I could see them saying, well, gosh, if we do this merger, then I'm going to have to give up a piece of the pie, And they're like, I don't want to give up a piece. Never crossed their mind they could create a bigger pie. And each of them get a bigger piece, right? So my mind just started expanding, and I thought, create this program and be Bob Proctor's closest advisor. And all of a sudden, my belief was starting to fuse with this idea and this new state of conscious awareness. But in that seminar room, when I left, my conscious awareness only went up a little bit. And so it was all these ideas telling me why I couldn't do it. All these ideas trying to temper what I wanted. Like the book. So many of you raised your hand, you want to do a book. And you were so set on it last night, and you could see how you could do it. But then this morning, it's like, I'm not going to do it. Now, with your C goal, that's not even your C goal. Imagine what else you're giving up on. If you're not even going to do the book that you want for, I don't even know what it costs, but it's certainly not your life, because if you're not going for your C goal, you're giving up your life, the life you were meant to live. So you got to go out there, you got to bet on it, you got to do this, and then you elevate your conscious awareness. And so in that seminar room, I couldn't see how I could do this. All I could see were all the reasons that I should slam my book shut and not let anybody see this crazy idea that I had put down there. But then I did this exercise over and over and over, and I just fell in love with it, and it was building, and it was building, and I started to elevate my conscious awareness. And you know what? Now when I look back, I can see everything I needed to do what I wanted. Couldn't see it at all in that moment. But by doing this, studying this, raising your awareness, I could see it. So there's huge power. It's your workshop. And if you're observant, you will see the outer world shaping itself according to your vision, the model of your imagination. That's what visioneering is. It's creating a model for you and your life with your imagination. Now look at this. And this is really powerful. In other words, when your understanding grasps the power to visualize your heart's desire and hold it with your will, it attracts to you all things requisite to the fulfillment of that picture by the harmonious vibrations of the law of attraction. That's such a beautiful way to say it. And it's just your understanding grasping the power to visualize your heart's desire. We can grasp that power. Just visualize your heart's desire. Hold it with your will. Impress it on your subconscious mind. It's not complicated. It's not easy, but it's not complicated. You just have to train yourself to do this. And then you start attracting crazy things. You start attracting beautiful things. Like you guys. They attracted you and you attracted them. Didn't know each other before, And I think you're going to meet Bruce Paeta today, and he'll tell you some great stories of attracting. But you literally start attracting everything you need, and things start to become simple. This is so powerful. You realize that since order is heaven's first law and visualization places things in their natural order, it must be a heavenly thing to visualize. Heavenly thing to visualize. And it is a heavenly thing because it starts to make everything so easy if you do the work. So what's your C goal? Think of your C goal. How many of you feel like you really came up with your C goal? You really feel like it? Do you feel scared? You don't look scared, Demo. You're covering it up, yeah. like that pit in your stomach, Okay, how many feel like a pit in their stomach? I was talking to someone yesterday. You do? Are you kind of pissed off about that? Good, good. You're on the right track. But you know, I had people come up to me yesterday saying, I'm starting to feel like nauseous when I'm thinking about it. And I don't do that. Like, I don't get queasy, you know? I mean, I'm like tough as steel. And what's going on here? And am I doing something wrong? No. That's exactly what you're supposed to. What does it mean that you're starting to feel nauseous or, you know, like headache? What?
It's becoming real.
And what does that mean?
I'm going for it.
It means you're doing what this exercise says you do. Your belief is starting to match with that state and fuse with it. And the plots, plans, and projections are coming to you. Because what do we do? Why are we even doing this? The exercise of the visualizing faculty keeps your mind in order and attracts to you what you need to make your life more enjoyable and in an orderly way. In other words, you're not going to, like, all of a sudden you're going to do really well and everything's going great, and then, now I'm going to go backwards. How many of you think when it's going really well, it's like you're looking for, where's the, yeah, you know that, is that a Catholic thing, do you think? Is it? Okay, okay, because it's like, you know, the shoe is going to drop, like it's going so well, and you're like, maybe I should just stay home for a little while. But it doesn't happen that way, because if you're doing this and you exercise and you train and you can do this all the time, you've got this power. So if you got this power, then why do you ever have to just drop backwards, right? And you might say, but I did before. I had a great business, and I lost everything. But you didn't know this, did you? You didn't know this. Now you know this, so you don't have to go backwards. This is why we're talking about order as heaven's first law. Visualization places things in their natural order, and therefore visualizing is a heavenly thing, isn't it? Yeah. You guys starting to see the huge, huge power in this? And are you seeing how you can implement this immediately? Immediately, for dramatic results. Everyone visualizes, whether he knows it or not. Visualizing is the great secret of success. And it's also the great secret of getting results that you don't want. Because everyone's visualizing all the time. And what are we visualizing? Often, what are we visualizing? Like how many? You're visualizing what you want? Sometimes. Yeah, can you picture times when you weren't? Like, can you picture times when you were so emotionally involved in what you didn't want? You know? Like, you think of fear. Fear is a powerful emotion. And so you're afraid of something that you don't want. And it's so powerful, and you're just attracting it right then and right there. And you're like, yeah, but how do I stop? How do I stop? Well, the exercise of the visualizing faculty, if you train yourself, you got to work at it over and over and over. And then it becomes this tool that you can use anytime. And you can use it in a split second. It'll change your vibration. And then you start attracting what you want. Here's the real key. The conscious use. That's what we want, is the conscious use. We want to know what we're doing. The conscious use of this great faculty attracts to you multiplied resources. Multiplied resources. You've got them right here, right now, even if you don't see them. But you can see them a lot better than I could see in that seminar, because you guys spent the whole day yesterday talking amongst each other. Today, you're going to be talking about what resources you each have to share with each other. And so you're really going to feel the impact of multiplying your resources. What about intensifies your wisdom? You know, it's like if you're in a meeting or you're speaking and you're really into the spirit of what you're doing and you visualize this, it intensifies your wisdom. You get ideas you didn't even know you had. You could be in a meeting, and all of a sudden you come out with this phenomenal idea to achieve what you want. You didn't even know you had it. It intensifies your wisdom, and it enables you to make use of advantages you formerly failed to recognize. This is the power of visioneering, and you can do it right now. What you got to do is hold that image of what you want. Hold the image of the person you want to be. And let that be what consumes you. Let that be what you impress on the emotional part of your personality. Your belief matches that. You fuse with it. Then everything starts to happen. When I was in that seminar 11 years ago, I couldn't see this. But I believed what Bob was saying, and I said, I'm going to do this. And I literally, at the end of the seminar, I went to the back of the room, and I went out the door, and I turned around, and I looked in the seminar room, and I said, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I guarantee you I'm going to do this. And I made a committed decision. That was August 2006. And the thing that I really put a lot of effort into initially was the Thinking into Results program. And I had created all the modules. I had created all the artwork, worked with Patty Knowles, who's amazing, had the artwork all created, and the name, Thinking into Results. And Bob Proctor didn't even know me. And then finally, he says, we're going to do this. Well, fast forward to April 2009. And it seemed like such a long time in some ways, and it seemed so quickly in others. And we're in a seminar room in Alberta, Canada. And there are at least 1,000 people in the room. And Bob has the Thinking into Results program in his hands. And he's holding it. And he's, I'm in the audience. And I'm looking at him, and I'm just getting really emotional, and just like, it was like my little baby, It's like I gave birth to my baby, and he's talking about and telling the people what this program is and what it can do for them. And he said, this is the first time we are releasing this program, and you can get it today. And people started flocking to the back of the room. I was shocked. I'd never seen anything like it. I mean, I was a lawyer, This didn't happen. And it was such a beautiful night. And the next morning, I was at the airport, and I was at Starbucks. I had a 6 a.m. flight. And my BlackBerry dinged. I had a BlackBerry in those days. And I read, it was an email from Bob. And I printed this out and saved it because it was so beautiful. April 2nd, 2009, Red Deer, Edmonton, Alberta. Bob says to me, Sandy, I watched you sitting there as proud as a new mother as hundreds of people were buying your program. You earn more money in 1 hour than you did an entire year as a lawyer. And this is merely the first in a series of thinking programs, one small step in the direction of greater things you will do, many of which are beyond your wildest dreams. Tell that to your dad. And then I remember, tears dripping. Like I had tears streaming out of my eyes. And I remember being so shocked about that because, as a bank merger and acquisition lawyer on Wall Street and boardrooms, you don't just sit there and cry, but it was like, it's just something so deep in me. It was just an idea in a seminar room. And it was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And so I wrote back, I said, for some strange reason, I have tears in my eyes. For the longest time, there's absolutely no physical evidence that my dream would manifest. But I did everything I could every day. You can't do everything at once. Everything I could every day. I was willing to change my thinking and go against the strong current. And now it's just so good, And it was like such a beautiful thing. The payoff is so huge. But it does not happen by accident. It happens by design. And this mental exercise of visioneering, it is so powerful, and it will help you get to where you want to be. But you have to do the work. Exercise, train, do the work. How many are going to do this? Every day, first thing in the morning, last thing at night. It's so powerful. Let's see. How many like this? Yeah? As you can tell, I love this. I love it because people often say, well, what is the one thing you learned from Bob Proctor that really, really unlocked you and enabled you to do what you want to do? And I always say visioneering, because it's the one thing I could do right from the get-go, before I really understood this, before I could explain this. So I want you to commit to do this and to consistently do it, and you'll see amazing results. All right? Thank you.